I'm Jana with Purl Together, and I'm here on this particular PurlCast with Melissa and Liz from the fabulous Wool and Honey in Michigan.
Hey guys.
You guys,
hello.
yes,
Friend.
welcome back. So we had you guys on, it was right out about a year ago, I think.
It was at the beginning of this.
March of mid-March, end of March 23rd or something.
I don't know. It was a while ago because I just remember I was so excited. It was my first year of being in your Sleeping Bear Yarn Club, and it was, now I'm re-up. It's my second year and I'm still super excited. So I want to talk about that. We were talking about, before I said, hey, we should hit record. We were talking about charts and how I'm using this charting software to work out a design I'm trying to do. And we were just discussing like when people prefer charted instructions versus written instructions. And I really think, yeah, it is kind of a right left brain thing, but like you were talking about some patterns that you had were cables. And I love I love me a good cable pattern, but it would have to be a cable pattern that I really, really loved in order for me to suffer through written instructions and note if they wouldn't offer a chart, and I'd be likely to try to chart it myself, honestly.
And I think I mostly do my cable stuff through the written. I think I actually get a little bit more. I do like charts, but I think even when I see a stretch that is like 4 or 6 stitches with the cable, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll just read it. For that, it feels, I don't know, that's one way but I don't know. I think just because I did start with writing, I think it's become so easy or whatnot, or just what you're used to, that I don't make the switch to charts as often. I don't know.
Interesting. And I have a couple of people.
Charts. I love charts.
Me too. Love charts.
I want to have that chart. I want to just be able to kind of glance. I can just read a chart better than I can words. And again, like we were talking about before we press record, I am a person who does, like, words are my natural playground. And so it's odd that that's my natural tendency, is to gravitate towards charts. Yeah. But I would not knit a cabled sweater if it were just written instruction. I need to see those charts. I just have to have them. Otherwise, I lose my place within the sequence of words.
Yeah.
I think after I did a king size blanket in cables, which was a 16-page or a 6-page repeat of the thing, and that, I don't know if there even was a chart, but I practiced that and then memorized, or just knew what was happening. I think it's just like, that's kind of my comfort level, is being able to work every single step to make sure I didn't misunderstand the symbols or something. That's because it's like, I know what knit means and what purl means and what cable is, and I can reference that a little bit easier than, like, I am dyslexic too. So that is, I think sometimes when I look at a cable on a chart, that I'm like, am I looking at the left or the right? When I then went to go reference the key, am I looking at? So I think there's also a little bit of that sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because then you want to verify, is this a hold to the back, hold to the front, and which way is it leaning? And and that makes total sense. Yeah. I noticed, we finished last fall. We finished the Norah's Vintage Afghan, and that's 20 blocks of cables, and it ended up being ginormous, and it's lovely and fantastic. But you get really good at reading charts, because I don't think it's written. It's charted only.
Yeah. And I mean, it is such a space saver, and it is a lot of, like, you do have to do the leaning over to be like, to make sure when you're checking, and you're not like, okay, I know what the pattern's doing. I know what the chart's doing. You do have to really.
Love it. Yeah. Well, so tell, since we digressed to that right off the bat, tell viewers about your shop and your sisterness and all that.
Yeah.
If they didn't see the previous one a year ago, we have lots of new viewers in the last year. So introduce yourselves, if you would.
Yeah. Well, I'm Melissa, Liz, and we are sisters. I'm older. She's my older sister. And actually, I'm the oldest of 4. Liz is also.
I'm a twin.
And we have a younger sister, too.
Yeah.
But we.
Okay, wait. I wanted to. Okay. Okay, so there's you, then the twins in the middle, then the younger one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
interesting.
So I've got everything. I've got a younger sister, an older sister, and a twin. I've got all the options.
You do? Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
You could have a heyday with that.
I know. But yeah, the shop is in Cedar, Michigan, which is in Michigan's pinky finger. Michigan is shaped like a mitten. Here we are in the pinky. And we grew up here. So we went to high school. In the high school that Cedar, this town, is in a district called Glen Lake. And so it's just right in the center of the county. And we grew up here. We did other things before we settled here professionally. And
I don't think either of us would have guessed we would have settled here professionally.
Never. I never in a million years would have thought that I was going to come home to my hometown and live here for the rest of my life. So, I mean, I'm going to be 40 in a couple of months. So, I mean, the rest of my life, there's a long bit of the rest of my life. So I guess I shouldn't say that I'll be here forever. However, I feel, not for the first time in my life, but definitely over the past 5 years, I would say I feel like I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So I can't imagine not doing
that. Yeah, you feel settled and grounded.
I think taking a couple of different routes in what we do, maybe. And there's some other things that I definitely want to add, but I wouldn't say that taking away this part of my life is something that I'm planning. So
right. Well, and you guys have had the shop how many years now?
For me, Memorial Day weekend, it'll be Olive owned it for 15 years. And Liz and I, this is our 8th winter together.
Okay. Right.
And this is we started our 5th year of working together all the time.
Right. Right.
5 years.
In October, October was our 4-year anniversary. And then, you know, and then we started the 5th year in November.
While Melissa had the shop, I convinced her to let me come on board with her, and I was working another job. I didn't have children then, and I offered to. I was like, I can do evenings, I can do weekends. It's like when you're married, and you have nothing else to do in your evenings and weekends but hobbies. So that was something that I could do, and lived close by the shop. So that worked for a long time, and then we were able to build it to. I got to a place where I could retire from that career and do this. So
and we kind of had gotten to a place before Liz was here, you know, things were, well, they weren't even really okay. I mean, they were pretty bad. It was after, I mean, the economy was real bad in Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, it was real bad for everyone, of course. But, you know, we had also, there is only, we talked about this the last time too, but there's only so much that you can do if you want your business to maintain, if you want your storefront to maintain and kind of be open and isn't it, like, I would say that most yarn shops would say, well, yeah, I mean, or this is what people think, that most yarn shops are just this cute little hobby business. Oh, isn't that nice? Oh, isn't that nice that she has a little shop? And
that's only because they have no idea.
Well, they have no idea. And I think
some are.
I think that it is extremely difficult to make it work. It's extremely difficult to make it work. And I will say, after doing this, and I worked for years, 7 years, 7 months out of the year, I worked 7 days a week. I would say that it was not possible to make it anything other than just keeping the doors open and the utilities not shut off when it was just me by myself. In part because there's so much to do and there's only so much that one person can do, in part because the economy was so terrible at the time. But I would say we have found that it wasn't until there were 2 of us here that we could make it work in any sort of way that was.
And feeding off of the different things that we both bring to the table that
Yeah.
one doesn't have.
Well,
that
right.
I wouldn't be able to do it without Melissa, and vice versa, that we have different skills that we bring to the table that really help that one person. Without some of those, it really makes it hard. And I think that can be a lot of hard things with retail shops or with something like this. You're like, I love knitting, I love yarn so much, I'm going to do a business. And that's, there's a lot of missteps in there,
Right.
So
that's great and all, but let's see. Do you know how to do QuickBooks? Do you know how to work a point of sale? Do you know how to make displays? I mean, just because you love to knit doesn't mean you don't know anything about retail.
Right. So there's, and that was one thing that it was nice that we were able to, we knew that like, okay, there were already employees, and it was like, if we were going to make it that I was going to come on board and we were actually going to pay ourselves money someday. Like we'd have to build this to a place where we felt like that could be a possibility. So it was definitely doing something and again, everything was like brilliant, but everything had been okay, let's have not an emergency plan, but it was like, how can we diversify if something ever happens that we've got something else?
Yeah.
And how can we make sure,
if something ever happens, like a pandemic.
So it was amazing that okay, we had diversified. We'd really focused on our online. We'd focused on this club. We'd focused on savings. We'd focused on, in the winters when it was slow here, we had, for every year, we had always built things in during our slow months, which the pandemic happened during a slow month, and we had promotions already going on. So it was amazing that after about a month, we were like, oh my gosh, we're doing it. We can do this because of all the
okay.
This is what we had been planning for. Was a world pandemic. So that was kind of great, that kind of the emergency that you always kind of plan for that. Actually,
well, I tell you, it certainly brightened my month. I'd get these little emails. They've sent you a package. And I'm like, oh, yay. And then I would know that it was coming. And even, if I haven't even left the property in 2 weeks because I live on a farm, so I don't need to go anywhere. Right. And I'd be like, oh, it's here. So for viewers, we're talking about the Sleeping Bear Yarn Club, which is fantastic. And we'll have you explain about that. But can I just say, I think this was December. Was this December?
Yes. Winter Walk.
This is one of my favorite ones. This is going to be one of those skeins where I'm like, I don't know if I can even open it. I'm just, because what am I going to make that
can justify? Yep.
You know how that feels.
Nuance and colors and the speckles in that guy is just, it's really beautiful.
It's so good.
Okay, let me just see. And I'm loving the speckles, right? And look at the colors. And I'm sure my camera and lighting doesn't do it justice at all. But people, you can explain you probably can't read that. So tell viewers what this says.
It's Bella Filato Studio, and our friend Gwen Perencio is the dyer. And Gwen lives just in technically Williamsburg, but Traverse City, surrounding Traverse City. So she dropped those boxes off here at the shop. Gwen comes and hangs out with us when we have events.
I want to hang out.
All sorts. She can do it all.
Last year, pre-pandemic, my older daughter and I took a punch needle class from Gwen.
Right.
Which was just really cool. So
now I'm off to Google, how long does it take to drive from Southeast Wyoming to Pinky, Michigan?
I
want to hang out.
2 days.
23 hours, probably. I mean, give or take.
Give or take a lake, or which way you go around the lake.
Yeah.
No. So this, and look, everyone, look when it was January. Oh, look at the brilliant. My daughter who just turned 18. Okay, that hurts my heart just a little bit. She's like, that is the best red I have ever seen. That's what she said. That's the best red. This is Rebel Woolworks.
Yeah.
So, and every time, I'm just giving our viewers a little taste. Where's my little bag? Every time you get these little stitch markers. Well, I mean, I've saved this bag from someplace and I put them in there. And I have my necklace thing too, but it has a lot of them on it already. So you get these little stitch markers that are made. I don't know.
Yes, Liz across the street, our jeweler, right in our little cedar, she makes those by hand.
And so every month you get a pattern, that yarn, and a corresponding matching stitch marker. I think this one went with the red. Now I have it tangled with another, but I think that one was a little bit bigger for last month. And of course it matches.
That one's probably like 8 millimeters, maybe.
No, I mean the ring is the same, just the bangly bit.
The stone itself. Yeah.
So fantastic, and I love the stitch markers. I'm very protective. I don't let anyone borrow these.
Right.
You can have the plain metal ones or those like gummy ones, because
plastic. And,
if I lose those, I'll be like, whatever. I'll fish it out of the rug or something. But you may not borrow those.
Sure.
I know I'm a little stingy about it.
And we're in year 7.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we're in year 7.
I'm only in year 2, but I just want to tell people, if you sign up for the club and you keep going, there's little reward things for your second year and your whatever, 5th year, whatever. I mean, you guys should tell all about that, because I was super tickled.
So the Yarn Club works like it's a monthly subscription that you can have you can purchase a 3, a 6, a 12-month subscription. You can pay monthly, you can pay quarterly, you can pay for a year in full.
And do that. That's what I do, because it's the best deal.
You save $40 if you pay for a year in full, which is almost a full month. It's $43.99 a month to have it shipped directly to your door. That includes shipping. That includes one skein of fingering weight that's always at least 400 yards. Most of the time, the base yarn itself changes. Because we work with a different indie dyer every month.
All the time.
So sometimes we've even had
that was our first and only, right, with mohair in it.
We may have had another one, the Miller Hill Maples, maybe. No, that was alpaca.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that one was the only one that we've ever had with mohair so far.
So we try to mix it up, to get to see what everyone's got different fun bases they're working with. So it's really fun to be able to play with different things. And sometimes they read really well, like when we add silk, when there's silk or
I know,
whatnot, they give off a nice sheen with that. Yeah.
Look at the speckles. Okay, I know I'm like a rabbit, like woo, easily. I just love them all. Okay, really. I think I talked about this on one of my other podcasts. Some of these I would have never picked. Like if I was walking into your shop and I was browsing around, some of these colors I truly would not have bought for myself because I just wouldn't have. However, what the Yarn Club has done for me, here's an example. Okay, I'm not a peachy person. I probably would never have picked this one. This is by Space Cadet. However, now that I have it, I'm like, oh, okay. But what does it go with that I already have? Like if I was going to do a fade, or if I was going to pair it with something else to do a larger fingering weight shawl, which I love.
Yes.
If I could just knit fingering weight shawls all the time, I would. But I'm just saying, I probably would not have chosen this for myself. But it opens up possibilities that I would never have thought of on my own either, because I'm not really very good at color-y kind of things. I'm not so good at that. But, I might pair it with something and be like, oh, okay, well, maybe. I mean, I'm just saying.
Doing some color work in there with a solid.
Or like something that would be kind of subtle, like a mouse brown with a two color brioche that was kind of subtle, so it wasn't high contrast. This brown has some pinkish purpley kind of tones in it. You never know. I'm just saying, even though I would not have chosen that as a single skein, like to knit a cowl or something with, I'm glad I have it in my stash though, even though I probably wouldn't have chosen it by myself, because now I'm like, oh, look at the possibilities with all the other stuff I have. It's like, and I live in the middle of nowhere. So I'm like, ooh, I have my own little yarn shop.
And so a lot of people do like their gift knittings, they knit for.
Sure.
So that also always helps.
Those are nice people. I mean, I hear it's nice to have a knitter like that as a friend.
So
I have received lots of knit.
It's been fantastic to be part of the club. It's really fun, and I want to say that I appreciate the little handwritten notes every time. See, Oh, I made a note. I was on the phone with someone. Sorry.
Not that important.
Good stationery.
And the little cards. I mean, it's just, it's very thoughtful. It's very well done, so that's great.
And I think that for us, the club, we don't talk about, I mean, sometimes we talk about this with each other, but one of the things that, like, when we were really sitting down and fleshing it out, and it these things come to me in flashes. I don't remember so much because it's been such a long time.
Remember the big table we were sitting at?
Yes. And it was like, it was 8 years ago when we started, really pinpointing the club, like 8 years ago right now. And having handwritten notes, having the ability to pay what was a comfortable payment plan for you, the ability to have these little touches, this real thread of, I don't want to say luxury because I don't mean it to be something that's out of touch or that's too cheechy, but I mean, like, having these little comforts, these little luxuries in your life that when you look at a stone, this little stone, you're just like, I mean, I've got one on my knitting right now. I
love them.
And, when I look at that, I'm just like, oh, I think about Liz who made it. I think of the story behind it. This is a sweet stone. I think about a lot of those things. And really the club is this, we wanted a physical manifestation of all of the things that we really enjoy about being knitters, about being connected to each other, even though maybe even at the time we didn't even have the language to
articulate that
what we were doing.
And a lot of it too, we wanted to be, because we knew of a couple clubs that's like, you had to get on the waiting list. There was a waiting list and you had to be signing up for it, prepaid in full. And you had no idea what you were getting. It was just
felt exclusionary.
Yeah. It was one brand. You would get one company base, one dyer. And that was it. And so, and we wanted to give the idea that, like, okay, so you've got options. You can pick which patterns you want to do. You can.
We didn't talk about that. We didn't really articulate that. You can, when you sign up, you can say, or if you're like me, you can be a spaz, and you can say, I want a sock pattern, the shawl one, or the baby thing, and you can pick which one you want, which month, and you don't even make you pick for the whole year. Like, you can change it up. You can be like, woo, I wish I had one. I don't know where it is. The little photographs that you send out. You also do it on. Is it on your Facebook or your Instagram where you show what the next month's going to be? There's like a preview and you can decide, well, I want the shawl for next time, but then maybe the time after that, I want the sock, or you'd be like, surprise me. And I did the surprise me because I don't know. They're awesome. They're all great.
Yeah. And being able to have that option of like, I really like it. I want more. I want to do a sweater quantity, or I want to get a pair of socks for my friend.
Yeah, you need to tell about that. Like, tell about the sweater quantity, how you can get a bunch of the yarn. Tell about that.
Yeah. So we, like, right now we're working on the newsletter right around the first of the month. And lately it's been a few days afterward. And that's okay.
We're blaming COVID.
Right. Right around the first part of the month, we debut the next month's colorway, the color that you'll see about 6 weeks from now.
Later,
We're going to debut. So this is February 2nd. We're going to be debuting March's colorway in the next day. And those are March packages that will be shipping out on March 15th. What we will do is we'll also be putting up a link so that people can purchase extra skeins of that color when we place our big bulk order with the dyer, which they have kind of a base number that we say we kind of aim for, but then we say we're going to add extras to it. And we take orders for additional skeins and new memberships until about the 20th of this month. So, so if this is a color that you love, you have the option to buy 1 more, 2 more, 3 more, at as many as you would like at 10% off.
See, that's fantastic. And I want to say too, when we talk about the patterns, when you send your boxes, they include, like, this is just an example. I just had it on my shelf there. They include, a very well done hard copy, and then there's a code for the Ravelry download.
And they don't always have a code, but most of the time,
most of the ones I've seen have. So then it's really super easy if you want to have this on your Net Companion, on your iPad or whatever. It's super easy.
I think it's just down to the designer, if the designer's got that information to the printer. But
I think but it's really well done. The patterns are beautiful. They're beautiful. I mean, they make a nice binder.
We always make sure, so we know the order to the skein that's coming, and then we go find our pattern. So we make sure that we pick a pattern that can be completed. So always the shawlette, the socks, the baby item. The baby item usually comes in multiple sizes up to children's. So there's, we make sure that a few baby item sizes can be done with the one skein. But show them the one we're going to
okay, so
first here.
This goes very well with your winter walk.
It's this neutrally sandy gray, and
can you see it well enough?
Yes, I want that. How do I get
You're gonna get it.
You're gonna get one.
But it's kind of got some brown, some gray, some little black specks, a tinge of blue.
Yeah, that gray leans a little blue. Yeah,
but some skeins are just a little bit more gray.
Sorry,
mouse brown. So it's really lovely, and we're calling it
a Boathouse Boardwalk. So it's a photo just outside of Glen Haven, the boathouse there, and there's this the picture of this wet spring boardwalk. So it's the kind of the sand and boardwalk colors with a little bit of the blue sky and grays.
And when am I getting this?
That's March.
Yay! Okay, so then I won't bust into this. I have to wait now, because I might. No, I'm going to wait because I might want to put it with something and like. Oh, I was also thinking about the City Limits sweater.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. The color, and that's been really cool. The color combos. I mean, I feel like maybe once the fade came out, really, but all of a sudden it was like boom. All of a sudden the club members were showing us color combos from past years that went together, and it was like, oh, the inspiration is endless now with so many colors in the repertoire. And
so I know you guys know this, and I have to look back on my Ravelry project page to figure out what this exactly is. I know it came from Sleeping Bear Yarn Club, but I got to look back and see what it is. I think I want to say it was the Knitwise, the label that has the owl on it.
Oh.
And I think it's this.
No, that is, that is,
that's a club color?
Mm-hmm.
I got to look back on my Ravelry.
Market Day from Up North Yarns.
Okay. Oh yeah. I have this it's in my. No, she's she's right. I think she's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, that's why. Mm-hmm. It was this year. That's why I can't remember.
That's why.
2020.
Half of that year is.
And here, I'll show you what it's part of. I'm sure you know the pattern. It's the Fading Point by Joji Locatelli.
Yes.
Part of that.
Here for it.
Yes, it's part of my Fading Point.
So how many colors are in that one?
Tell me what that darkest one is. That's not the Knitwise fibers.
No. Way down here is well, I've had it in my stash for probably 10 years. It was the Koigu KPPPM.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one on the very bottom. And then I had several, like the Vans something.
Sunset
that was
Vans?
That was my very first shipment, was the Sunset at Vans. That's in there. And then I have a little Sweet Georgia mixed in that I had just had in my stash from before. And then the Up North. Yeah.
Awesome.
So 4 colors.
Yeah. No, there's 5 total.
Oh, 5 total. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because if do you know how that's put together, right? Okay. Where you knit it from each end. Okay. Okay, so this is the first half. That's the second half, and you knit from the side, and it's a triangle, and then you do the middle triangles to make the rectangle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's a completed first side.
Oh, it's
my gosh.
I love your fade. Yeah. That's
and
good.
then, so this was just some light gray something that I had in my stash. It wasn't indie. I don't think it was an indie dyer. It's just what I, like my daughter and I just rummaged around and found 5 things that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It did it went beautifully.
Well, she helped me. I'm not good at this. She helped me.
That's what I said to Andrew the other week, was like, if it wasn't for your fade, I'd still be having a problem with color. But that's, we made like 200 and plus kit color combinations for people. That is like, oh yeah, now it's
This
like,
is my fade.
I
Yeah.
love it. Oh, so good. So good.
And I just want to knit the fade. That's like, I had never, this was my first larger fingering weight shawl.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And I've done some smaller ones, but this is giant and I like it because it's like a schlinket. I love it.
Anytime I package packages now and people order multiple skeins, I have to put it in some sort of a fade. Like it can't just be like it has to be some sort of color easy.
Some gradient.
Yes, some gradient. It has to go from dark to light and whatever kind of.
When you put it in the box, you want it in the right order.
I have to put it.
Well, there was a time when I would be like, customers would come in the store, or I would be like, I can't talk to you about this right now. Liz, you got to come. You got to stop what you're doing. Get in here. And I mean, Liz is like our resident expert on fades. She
could not do color before.
She probably put together at least 275 combos of different things. Different, had a lot of hedgehog
all together.
But 6 and 7 hedgehog, sweet Georgia. I mean,
it was fun. It was like a fun challenge. They're like, I want to see this purple. Can you get this skein in here? And how else am I going to fill it? I'm like, all right. It was exciting.
That's so fun. I can't wait to drive there one day.
Yes,
me too.
I want you to make me a fade.
Yeah. I haven't picked one out in a long time. I could pick out. I mean, besides the packages I put together. Not that anyone was expecting a fade when they received it, but I did.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. And all of a sudden, I've been really enjoying speckles.
I can't stop.
I thought you were going to say mohair, and I was like, oh, okay, let's talk.
I have to say,
sure,
mohair's not my favorite. However, I did a Kwanzaa kit. I don't know if you saw the Kwanzaa kit on my Instagram that I did with Chicken Coop Dyeworks in Texas. Carol Jones. And I got her kit. And you have a skein of this and a skein of this, and they're the same colorway, but one's mohair, and you hold it together. And and the pattern that came with it was one of Ambah's rectangular wraps, and it's just lovely. And so the kit was a surprise. And so I might try it. I might get over myself and try it because I want to be cozy. I'm just not sure.
If it hadn't been for that trend of the mixing mohair with other yarns, I first laughed at Melissa when she was like, so check out this mohair. And I was like, what's happening here? Like, why are we flashing back to the 90s? Like, let's just.
Because when I bought the shop, and I should go in the back and get this picture.
The picture, yes.
But, when I bought the shop, there was a ton of Legrand mohair left from Classic Elite. And it was worsted wave mohair. And it was like, people were knitting that just on its own in sweaters. And there was something about it, but it was just hideous.
It's hairy and it goes up your nose and it's.
But it was like just mohair, but not like high quality. And also it was stranded with just nylon. And it was just kind of like,
so just like kind of nappy, or like it just didn't fluff. It didn't like a beautiful halo. It was kind of just a sticky.
It was like brushed, or it was sort of like, it was matted, like felted.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't, it wasn't great.
What?
God forbid you should have to tink it back.
Thank you, Judy.
Oh my gosh, yes. Judy just got this for us.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I mean, who's doing stuff with that orange and yellow? I just don't know. But I did do something with this color. I mean, I used some of that. I did some, and she loves them, but I did knit it with something else. Like before that was the thing. But I knit some leg warmers for someone. And then there was one thing that I did knit.
Wait, are you sure we're not talking about the 80s?
Exactly. This was 1989.
But she's kind of our 80s girl, so it was totally up her alley. And then I did one request when I was like my first year knitting. A family member asked me to knit, like, anyway, some people love this stuff, but a classic poncho for a kid that was in mohair and pink with knotted tassels and everything. That I'm like,
Well,
this
yeah.
I'm not knitting. Like,
Okay, that's like late 70s.
And
yeah.
it was, and
yeah.
I did it, and I did what they wanted, and they didn't let me. I said, never again.
You know, I'm okay with a good poncho, though. I have a poncho. I just throw it on in the morning, and I'm okay with a poncho. That's fine. But the one I have is like,
but this was
not a pink mohair one with
no.
And it wasn't like a serape. It wasn't like a, really throw it around and be stylish. It was like, comes to a point in the front and in the back, and
it was for a kid, so you can be like,
kid.
It would be cute on a kid, and probably something, I don't know if the kid would pick it
well,
up.
I made one of those. I made one of those out of like, Lion Brand acrylic for my kid when she was 4, because she wanted a poncho. She was 4. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's what she wanted.
Oh, then then it was like, I don't know, a decade, and then Melissa's like mohair, and I was like, all right. Here's the Melissa's talking about.
Yeah, it brought back some painful memories for both of us, but at the same time,
beautiful styles.
This is an odd phenomenon, I think, for a lot of our friends are in the particular age group in which temperature regulation is not an easy thing to achieve. And so, I'm
in a t-shirt right now, and half an hour ago I was like in a hoodie, and then you got your own personal summer going on, and it's annoying. And I'll just say I'm more than 10 years older than you.
Sure.
And it's annoying. But it's the fact of life. It's just the way it is, and it's natural and whatever. So, yeah.
But sometimes that makes knitting choices choices with wool difficult.
Yes.
And I will say that we had this conversation yesterday. For someone who does struggle with being too hot too much of the time, that this person said that they just finished Hohi's sweater, the one that she just came out with. I cannot remember the name of it. It's the V-neck long sleeve. Anyway.
Oh, I saw that. I'll
it's
find it.
It's Charlie. It's called Charlie.
Okay.
The Charles. I think.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
And so, but she said that this one and another sweater that she had made recently, like there's something about it, and I can't explain it either, but there's something about wearing a sweater that is one strand of mohair with another strand of fingering weight about the temperature regulation. I can't really use any other word for it than like
regulation.
The most comfortable I have ever been in a piece of knitwear ever.
Really?
Like, just in like comfort isn't even like, it's just like divine. Like it's not just like, it's not like, sumptuous or whatever. It's just so comfortable.
I might have to try that, knowing that.
And Michelle said that, and I thought it was just me at first, where I was like, oh, okay. But every time I wear my sweater, I think I was wearing it on Saturday.
And do you wear layers underneath or no?
I was going to ask that.
Yeah. I wore just a t-shirt, a bra and a t-shirt, or a tank top.
Yeah, like a little tank or something. Sure.
It doesn't, and it's not, and sometimes I have like a sensitive chest where like mohair or cashmere or something can be a little bit picky to me, just a little bit on my chest.
Cashmere? Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But I would say that every time I wear my no frills sweater and I just wear a t-shirt or a tank underneath, it is I'm supremely comfortable all day. Never too hot, never too cold. And that's
I'm going to have to
me
try
because I get
that.
real cold. Or if I'm too hot, then I'm too hot. And this other person said the same thing to me, that it was just like,
I would have thought it would get
I would think it would be way too hot.
Yeah.
I would have thought that mohair would be way too hot.
But maybe not with fingering. I mean, but we're not
Right.
talking about your 90s worsted mohair now.
Right.
We're talking about, you know, the lace weight mohair combined with added with carried along with just a fingering. And that might be lovely. And I will try that. So this kit that I got from Carolyn at Chicken Coop Dyeworks, I should have brought it in here. I didn't know we'd be talking about this, but it's like that though. It's fingering carried with mohair, and then you knit this big wrap. But wow, yeah.
Well,
And again, it's colors that maybe I wouldn't have thought of, but I think I'm going to do it just the way it's written, just because why not? It looks fun.
I loved, and I believe it was mohair, right? When we had Nice and Knit here, right? They were doing these. It was the simple. I did it in bulky, but they were doing that with like worsted. I don't remember. And but it was the Espostrico simple cowl or something.
Okay.
And getting warmer or something, or but they would pick two different colors completely, and you would have like this this light, maybe if you did like a light speckly, and then something totally different. And it
You mean for the strand you carry with it is different?
You carry with it completely different colors.
Okay.
And sometimes at first I was like, I don't even know why you'd put those together. And then they just mesh into this beautiful. They like both become muted and into a brand new color completely. And it was just jaw dropping to see some of the combos, because you were like, wait, those two colors made that thing? It was really cool.
Do you recall
something like you know, like a pea green grello kind of ochre color held together with like a robin's egg blue, and you'd think like, oh, how is that going to work out? And it is like stunning, like exquisite, like a color that couldn't even.
The halo becomes something completely separate. Oh, it's beautiful.
It makes me want to go look at the project pages now. Do you recall the name of the pattern?
I think
it's called Getting Warmer, and it's the Espostrico.
It's a free pattern.
Yeah. Also,
well, if I find it, I'll link it down below. If I find it, I'll find it.
And another place to look for really stellar color combinations with a fingering weight and mohair would be to look under the Love Note sweater by Tin Can Knits.
Right. There's several people in my group that have made that.
Together some combinations that will knock your socks off. So
what was the pattern that someone did? I'm still inspired by, or wishing I had seen it. The when they mixed mohair with loft.
Yeah. Okay. Oh well, shoot. That.
Okay. Wait. They mixed mohair with what?
Brooklyn tweed loft fingering, right?
Yeah. So you know how loft, both Brooklyn tweed loft and shelter and quarry too, really are, because they're the woolen spun and they've got those neps. You know, it's a tweed, and it's not like, well, I'm wearing it right now, but it's not necessarily skin soft. There are a lot of people that are like, yeah, I love the colors of Brooklyn tweed, but I can't wear it because it's just scratch, you know, and we get that. But a customer came in and was wearing a hat with, it was just a hat, and it was something that was cabled, something to get maybe a sport weight gauge. Maybe it was one of Ysolda's patterns, honestly, with some cables, some nups maybe. It was really lovely, but it was done with one strand of Brooklyn tweed loft for that really toothy, good, tweedy loveliness. And then a strand of, and this was years ago, but a strand of Rowan Kid Silk Haze. When Rowan Kid Silk Haze was the only fingering or lace weight mohair with silk that you could get. Right. And before indie dyers were doing it. And the fabric and the color that it produced, and it was kind of tonal. So it was, they picked out something, it was like fauna or sap or one of those kind of murky grello colors as well. And then also with like an olive juice kind of mohair. But the fabric that it produced was so amazing because it gave you all of the color and nuance of the Brooklyn tweed loft, but then with the silk and the soft and the wow and the warmth factor of silk mohair. It was, and
obviously made an impression if this was years ago.
I mean, like, I just think I think about it now, and I think like, and it was obviously, it was a solid color Kid Silk Haze mohair, but we have all kinds of variegated or tonal mohairs where that can just up the next level of like color play, you know. And I think that's a really exciting realm that people can get into in their knitting in general, that I think that once you've established kind of some of your boundaries and some of your real go-to patterns, or
I think,
or if you're just kind of like, I want to buzz through some of my stash, I want to knit something that's a little heavier weight, like what do I do with all this fingering weight yarn? Well, if you hold mohair along with it, you know, you're getting a heavier weight, typically a DK weight gauge, and
it's a whole new thing. Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
Well, I know there was even a couple kits that La Bien had, or one that I was really inspiring or really was interested, where it was like 3 different yarns you're using at the same time. And then like just really talk about the different depth that you've got of these different bases you're throwing together, let alone just trying to do the colors.
But I can't help but think, oh my gosh, I hope you don't have to tink.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah.
No. So you'd have to be very deliberate and careful. It's maybe not, I mean, to be careful.
Yeah. I did this is one thing, this was before, again, the mohair, and it was some sort of like a worsted mohair blend of some sorts, but a girlfriend of mine had a sweater that someone made for her, and it just didn't fit right on the ribbing on the bottom. She just didn't like how it fit on her body. And so, I mean, a lot of people don't really like how a lot of sweater ribbing fits there. And so she said, can you just like take the ribbing off? It was a bottom up knit. And I'm now doing a reverse surgery on the reverse with mohair. But I did it. But it was like, oh my gosh, it was
painful.
The worst part was just trying to unknot all that.
I really hope she baked something for you, or
she's alive. Yeah, she was good. But yeah, it was just one of those things that you were like, that was my first time of undoing mohair, I think, probably.
Wow, yeah. So
labor of love.
So tell me what you all have coming up in your shop.
Should we talk about this?
Sure. I will just say, you know, we haven't, you know, people ask a lot like, oh, well, what are you going to do for your, like, we haven't made a lot of plans, mostly because we've had a lot of work to do, and that we haven't had a lot of time to sit down and plan, but also
I've got a list of them, some things that
but I want to tell people, I want to make sure people know though that you're doing that Instagram thing on Thursdays, and then you have the knitting thing on Saturdays. So tell people about that, because that's an ongoing, that you're doing that now, and people can join in on that for sure.
Yeah. Every Saturday morning. And there should be a link on our website where it's a link to, it's under the events page, but you can always find on Saturday mornings from 10 until 12 Eastern time. It's a Zoom call, and you don't have to turn your video or your audio on if you don't want to. It's literally, if you just want, because there are a lot of people who have emailed lately and are like, you know, I don't know. I'm nervous, but I'm lonely. I want to be around people, but I just don't know if I'll say the right thing. You don't have to say a thing. You can sit there. You can just be comfortable, and you are welcome here.
Yeah.
So,
and it's funny.
It's funny.
It's just funny. Everybody talking about their different things, different stories that were going on in their life or whatnot. But we do talk about knitting sometimes, but most of the time it's getting together, being able to like. We'll knit while we just want to talk. We haven't seen people, or just are now becoming friends. And it's so cool because we used to hang out in Leelanau County, which how few of us get to hang out in Leelanau County. So it's so great. This is something that we're grateful for, that has, you know, brought a new piece of technology we weren't tapping into before the shutdown, was that we get to hang out with people across the state,
all over the world.
So that's been so fun to be able to hang out with everyone that we got to meet for the first time, that we've emailed or sent things to, but we'd never see their faces before. So it's been
and I would say very routinely, it's an average of 40 knitters every week. And there are some cool. Julie lives in California. She or in Washington. Ooh, I got to look it up. Washington, I think. But she sets her alarm. And I mean, so like when it's 10 o'clock here, it's 7 o'clock there. You know? They're joining us. People are getting up early. There was a period of time where somebody was joining us from Italy.
Yeah,
Somebody from Germany.
She was stuck in Spain for
Spain.
A lot longer. She's usually from Michigan, but she was stuck in Spain for a lot longer than normal on this kind of year. So we got to hear about what was going on. It was interesting hearing what's going on in other cities and countries and states, and because it is so different. So it's been interesting to hear how everyone's.
So that's every Saturday. That's every Saturday morning, right? And then you do an Instagram live on Thursdays, right?
Yes. This week we're not going to have one, but
we've skipped a couple.
We've skipped a few weeks here and there, but we just have had super casual conversations, not unlike what we're chatting about now, where we just get together with somebody. And the series is called Making Comfort and Joy. And it's supposed to be centered around, okay, we are in any capacity. These people are professionals in varying parts of the industry as makers in general. And so what our focus and our questions are sort of, what has made you feel grounded and like what has brought you comfort and joy during this extremely stressful, extremely suppressing, creatively suppressing time.
Right.
What is making you, what are some unexpected surprises that are coming from either not having the ability to travel, being quarantined, having to produce, not being able to produce? Are you gardening, putting up food, spending more time outside, whatever. And
that's neat.
And, a thread that has been a joy, I think, for us throughout is the music factor. There are so many people that have discovered that music plays a part. And I think that really speaks to like the human experience.
Right.
And that feels really good. Whether it's just for us, maybe it's just listening. Some people it's playing.
The very first one, just to say, Luigi, he sang to us. He sang opera.
Really?
It's true. We were serenaded by a professional
opera singer.
Professional opera singer.
Wow.
Because again, I think that's for us, music is just that endorphin boost that you need when you're like having a moment here. I'm not really sure how to get through. I just need to find something that's going to turn the right thing on, and being serenaded
that did it.
By an opera guy named Luigi. That's fantastic.
Who, unbeknownst to us, sat down in front of his piano to actually record the Zoom call. And so he was like, sure, I'll sing. And then starts playing the piano. And we were like, dying.
What? Wow. So if people want to see that, that's on your archived YouTube channel, right?
Yeah. Okay. And you can also watch them on Instagram TV too. They show up there too. So both places you can see them.
And I will, one of the things that I want to do is update our events page. And I will to include each of those in a line item and with links to our YouTube page.
Because that's awesome. Yeah. And last week was it last week or the week before, I tuned in for a little while when you had Andre Maury on there, but then I got diverted and the phone rang and, so I need to go back and like rewatch and finish what where I missed. So that's really convenient though. If, people are not able to join live, they are on your YouTube channel. So we'll put the link to your channel down below.
I've watched a lot of them over again because they're so inspiring, listening to these different stories that people are going through, or, hearing Stephen West talk about him actually starting to cook more, and hearing some of these things that are just like, it was just fun being able to laugh and talk about other things of the making industry, or other pieces of making life or making mind that keeps us going. And what are the things that are making it hard or whatnot, just talking about how life is different and how we're doing it.
And I think that it taps into one of the things too that it feels really important to me lately is, we all see each other all the time. And when we post stuff on Instagram or when we are sending out newsletters, you're here, like of course we pepper in different things too. we talk about Black Lives Matter. We talk about,
Mm-hmm.
How, fat and thin bodies and body positivity and how we feel and all sorts of different things.
Right.
Sure, those are kind of sprinkled within. That's just who we are.
Yeah, us personally,
Right.
that's who our store is. Yeah.
But at the same time, I also feel like most everything that when we engage with people in this industry, it's all about knitting primarily. So it's really cool to have these unscripted conversations with people, to talk about something else that yeah, sure. Is knitting I am a knitter. I'm not a person who knits. I am a knitter. It shapes my life, whether I owned a store or not. But that's only just a part of who I am. And so, do people know that I would pay $1,000 to go see Neil Young in concert? Yes. Yes, I would.
Okay.
There are just things that that come up in casual conversation that make you more of the person that you are, and it makes it feel like, when Luigi sits down at the piano, it's more than just oh, we're talking about Brooklyn Tweed, and that feels really good. Same thing with
even last week, I'm still just so inspired by last week talking to Melanie about all of why she's in Japan and what the feel of being in there and how that culture and how the housing and the furniture and everything and the food and neighbors and everything is just oh, I pine for that. That just sounds so magical, and how that translates into her dyeing, how that translates into her colors. And
now this is Melanie who?
Melanie Asato from Big Little Yarn Company. And
this is the game I had a second ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put that link down below also, because I didn't know about her until I got this from the club. See? Yes. And that's what I was circling back around. That's what I was going to say. Is this club has been fantastic, because I would never, I live in Wyoming. Where would I have ever had a chance to get my hands on this? Right? Or lots of the things, this is still one of my favorite ones. This is another one that I'm like, what am I going to make? This is fantastic. Right?
Yes.
But these people are where?
Lambstrings.
Hudson, New York, it says on the label. Where would I ever have seen this? So the club is fantastic. I know I'm pitching again for the club, but it's fantastic because I have found indie dyers that I wouldn't have a chance to touch or feel or see any other way. Just because of the geography involved, right? So it's amazing.
And just even knowing where to look, where to look for those people. And because there are hundreds and thousands of dyers out there. So it's an endless opportunity for us, for the club, but it's so fun to be able to tap into those.
And we now have, with many, many of them, we have deeper relationships with them and carry more of their yarns in the shop for non-club members. We carry now, Wobble Gobble, Red Stag, Big Little Yarn, Little Fox.
6 and 7 fiber. Yeah.
I'm just trying. Those are just some of them that I can see from here.
And I haven't touched a skein of 6 and 7 yet, but I know that they're one of the people that you carry, and she's in Colorado, and I didn't know that. So
yeah. So it's really the more and more that we are distanced physically from other people, it feels, and the more that we kind of really are doing more of this sort of as part of our work and more than just transactional, it really feels like we are doing the things that we're meant to be doing because we're connecting with other people. And yes, we are physically apart, but it also feels in certain ways
like we're closer.
We're closer to people. And I feel like our bonds with our fiber friends, wherever they are extremely strong and very important. And it's not just and both emotionally, and also I feel like some people are, it's a really good thing. You can tell that there are certain people that are doing okay financially because people are embracing the real deep nuanced nature of shopping small, and it's boosting people and indie dyers and small businesses and women-owned and BIPOC-owned businesses in ways that are true and real and meaningful. And it's and not just so that people can be like, "Ooh, I made a donation," or so that I can feel good about myself, but just because it just works.
It's felt meaningful in a year that was so rough that we went to a place, even though it was rough for us in many ways, physically and emotionally and sleeping or whatnot. But like getting to a place where we could do all the hard things that then made sure we were successful, that we were like, all these other things we could do with it. All the other things that we were like, we can do these wholesale orders to some small dyers we've never worked with before, or ones that, and it just felt nice to connect with people that were like, this was perfect timing. I really need, and to have to be like, but just that it was like, we do that it does have meaning, that these transactions do have meaning, that they're not just like just the way that the cog works, but like they are important, that to support someone's art, to actually giving them a big paycheck for work for their pieces of art is an actual big deal. And before this kind of a year, that's something that's been kind of nice with the club, is that we felt like we were able to find a dyer, highlight them, and that just the different trigger that sets them up for too is just like putting 400 and some people, customers in front of their face is a marketing for them to
what an opportunity for them to get a little more traffic and to become aware. That's great. I think that while COVID obviously has sucked, and I mean, I would never wish it on anyone, it has a tiniest of silver linings in that way, is that it has brought people together in that way.
Absolutely.
That maybe would or would not have happened. I mean, who knows? But still, if there's one thing that you can be the sliver of tiniest silver linings, that would be it. I think for me anyway, is just having the opportunity to meet people. There
are many things that I've definitely found this year that I am ridiculously grateful for, of this year putting my head into a different place that my head wouldn't have gone, right? Because like you're just in your routine. You're in the like, we just got to do, and there's a goal, and so something abruptly interrupting, something abruptly showing where there are awful things that we are missing in obvious places, that because we just don't like really talk about prisons and things like that. And then you actually see what's happening and you're like, oh, there's a problem we're not dealing with. There really is. And
so it's brought some good awareness.
Oh yeah. And as well as like, we wouldn't have, because we all get so comfortable in what we do, or the technology on our phone, we wouldn't have taken the extra steps to really like, well, how can we really connect people? Because I think before we really didn't care about connecting with people, because we didn't care about people so much, because you are just,
I mean, not us.
right. But I think as humans, we're more self-centered. And so it's harder to be like, let's do a community event where we can all hang out. Is sometimes, I don't know, I'm an introvert. So sometimes you're kind of like, we're cool with just
maybe not.
the people that walk in, that's enough. And so getting to a place of having to find solutions have really opened the doors of places your head just didn't go there. And so, I mean, we even talk about the Saturday knitting that, people are like, please never get rid of this. Like even when you go back to being able to see people, like I'm thinking about where I want to mount a monitor so we can still have our people in store and then see all of our friends all over. And that's becoming a new thing that we add. And virtual appointments, being able to tap into anyone all over, because our customers are all over. And what a great way for them to be able to, whenever they want, be like, can you show me these two colors? And that's just a great avenue to have. And we would have just never thought of that before. So
well, and I'm sitting here thinking, when I get ready to knit my next fade, maybe I should make an appointment and be like, can you help me?
Yeah, absolutely, we can do that. Yeah, it's very.
But that's the kind of thing that we maybe wouldn't have thought of before, and so that's fantastic. So that's a great thing. When we were circling back around again, we were talking about things that you have upcoming for the shop. That's a great opportunity, maybe, is that people could call you up and say, hey, I really need some help. Could we have a quick Zoom so maybe you could help me choose this, and this for my sweater?
Yeah, and we even have that under the events tab on our
it's
website.
actually
good.
appointments.
Oh,
virtual appointments.
there's a part on the menu bar itself where it's virtual appointments, and you can schedule it.
You can even schedule a group if you've got some friends that you're like, let's all go shopping together.
That's true. We did that. We did that with that had come in person together in May, I think, the year before. So
yeah. So
that's a fantastic idea.
That are fun.
Yeah. So have you been doing virtual knit-alongs?
Well, that actually leads into this next one. Well, because our knit-alongs before were kind of virtual anyway. Most of our people were not local. And that's the thing that we've been lucky with. Most of our people aren't local anyway.
Okay.
Most of our audience is farther away. So we did do a lot of we ship out our knit-along kits, and then we say, hey, send us photos or post the photos of your cast-ons and send us pictures when you're done. So we do kind of a lot of that. But we used to do like Thursdays every week is like if you needed help, but it was just local. So we'll probably now include, maybe like a Thursday Zoom, or maybe it'll be part of our Saturday Zoom will be places for help or bring your knit-along.
Right.
But we are working on a knit-along with Gwen, the gal that we talked about. That's the dyer who did December's. So she is dyeing up some samples. We don't even have a date for this because we're just we just want to be ready. We're not pushing.
Well, still tell us about it, and then people can follow your Instagram and your social media and watch for that. Yeah.
Right. So when Stephen West launched just a couple weeks ago, a lot of his honeycomb stuff, we were like, well, we have to pick something honeycomb to do. So we picked out the painting honeycomb shawl.
Okay.
So what's really exciting about this one is all the little honeycombs are mohair.
Oh.
So
they're little soft pockets.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So there's 5 different colors of the mohair. Gwen has some Surrey, and then merino single for the base. So we are working on 3 different color combos that you'll be able to pick from. And so the hardest part I think is probably going to have to be able to pick what we're going to do in the sample. I don't even know, but I'm so excited.
I'm a little hung up here. Surrey is alpaca.
So they're instead of mohair.
Because I'm like, wait a sec. Mohair is goat. Surrey is alpaca.
So there is because some people are sensitive to mohair silk. There is a brushed Surrey alpaca and silk blend that kind of it gives you the same sort of look, and so that's what Gwen is dyeing up for us.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And now, I just
like
want to make that clarification because they're different fibers, different animals, and
I have problems with all of them, but I will wear a mask and knit it up anyway because it's too fun. I don't care. But so we'll make 3 different color combos that'll be 7 skein kits. And
wow, fantastic!
And so we'll pick with the hard choice of picking which one is going to be the sample that we'll knit up, and then when we debut it, everyone will be able to sign up for X amount of days. That you'll be able to pick which one you want to do, and then we'll get Gwen numbers, and it'll probably have about a month and a half or something that she'll go crazy dyeing up. Send it out, and we'll all work on that project together. Yeah. So.
Fun. Now tell me again the name of the shawl.
One is the painting honeycomb shawl.
Okay, I'll put the link below if people want to go see that.
He's got a few different options on that one, but we're gonna do the fingering weights with some Surrey. So
nice.
It's gonna be lovely.
That sounds fun. That sounds cool. So people can watch on your social media for that in the next couple 2-3 months, whatever, sometime in the spring.
I did pick out one that's kind of is going to be kind of some bright colors, kind of like he has. I've got one that's very soft, beautiful, elegant neutrals, and one that's kind of an in-between one that's got some color but nothing crazy. So kind of to get some options for everybody a little bit.
Nice.
I haven't even seen these, so I'm really excited.
Yeah,
to see that. Yeah,
and it's great. And that was what was great working with Gwen when we picked the color too. She was like, "These are the going with Pantone collages," and being like, "This is what I see in the picture," and you're like, "That makes life so easy." So I picked out some of those again, and
that's so cool. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And before we let you go, Melissa and Liz have a fun thing.
Yes, a little giveaway.
We want to give one of the viewers of Purl Together podcast, we want to give you a 3-month subscription to the Sleeping Bear Yarn Club, beginning with March 2021. So it will be one skein of beach
boardwalk.
Boathouse
boardwalk.
It's that new.
It's so new. We haven't even released this to our subscribers yet. And one pattern, your choice of the shawl, the sock, or the baby pattern, and a coordinating stone stitch marker. March is going to be a jasper tiger skin jasper, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Jasper's one of my favorites.
Yes. And so, and your subscription will start with March.
That is so generous. That's fantastic. So if viewers want to enter that giveaway, there'll be a link down below in the video description. You'll click that and follow the directions.
Yes.
That's amazing. Thanks so much.
You're so welcome.
Thanks for joining me.
Yes,
so people can
having us.
I want to have people sign up for your newsletter, because that's where you tell about the previews for the Sleeping Bear Yarn Club for next month. That you send out your newsletter to remind people about the Instagram lives and who you're having on next. And the Saturday morning thing. And so really, I mean, following all your social media, obviously, but I get your newsletter and that's where I find out about it all usually. So do that, people.
You can send us an email to thebuzz@woolandhoney.com. And we'll add you to our newsletter list. There's also, if you go to Instagram, on our profile page, there's an email link. You can also rifle off an email.
You can if you hop onto the website and you haven't been there before, there's a little pop-up's going to show up there inviting you to sign in for the newsletter.
Yeah.
So if they,
and we send out a newsletter once a week, twice a week, sometimes. You can obviously always unsubscribe if it becomes too much, but yeah, I mean,
new things that come into the shop, events that are going on, things that we're thinking, inspirational photos.
Yeah, all of it.
I like the beach ones. I follow your Instagram just so I can look at the beach. I'm just saying, because I live in the middle of the
I went down there
prairie.
this morning and I took a couple pictures this morning.
And I love that because it's just so starkly different from where I live. And so, like, I was telling Ambah that I like her Australian beach photos, and then I like your lake photo. Well, it's a beach. It looks kind of like the ocean, because I don't have that. I have prairie.
Yeah.
So it's I just like that. And then I read your literary stuff as well. Oh, it's delightful to have you. Everybody go hop over and visit woolandhoney.com. Thanks.
Thank you,
so
Jenna.
much.
Thank you so much.
Guys.